Hey guys, welcome back. Mr. Will here. Video lesson for May 7th, 2020 for the group Denominators. So we've been talking about inequalities. We left off with talking about compound inequalities. Today we're going to kind of touch on absolute value real quick. This is important because then the next step is we're going to do absolute values with inequalities. So if you remember, absolute value is how many steps away from zero a number is, okay? But now we're going to have some absolute value equations with some variables, okay? So an absolute value equation, let's do a quick refresher. If you had the expression, the absolute value of x equals 4, okay? What that means is it's an equation that contains the absolute value expression. The equation, absolute value of x equals 4, means that the distance between x and 0 is 4. But wait, what that means is it could be both positive 4, because if you think of your number line, and here is 0, okay, it could be positive 4, or it also could be negative 4. So it gets a little funky because the absolute value of x equals 4. The answer could actually be, solutions for this equation could be 4 and negative 4, because they are the only numbers who has a distance from 0 is 4. So both of these would be your answer, okay? Now, that is something that you should have maybe heard of before, maybe not, maybe nope, never heard of it. But I wanted to make sure that we had that background knowledge before moving forward, okay? So now, taking that, let's look at this equation. I'm sorry, at this problem. Yeah, I guess it would be an absolute value equation, okay? So it would be the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 8. Now, you are to rewrite the absolute value equation as two equations, because just like before, we talked about how x equals 4. It could be negative 4. It could be positive 4. It's how many steps away from it could it be. So this could be solved by using two equations. X minus 3 equals 8. And because we're talking about the absolute value here, it would be also x minus 3 equals negative 8. That's a terrible equal sign, but equals negative 8. And the reason why is because, again, absolute value has to do with how many steps away from 0 a number is. So if we look here, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. I'm going to add 3 to this side because negative 3 plus 3 cancels out. And I'm left with x equals 11. Okay? Sweet. Now, over on this side, I'm going to add negative 3 to both sides. Again, because negative 3 plus 3 cancel each other out. But on this side, when I add 3 to this side, what I'm left with is x equals negative 5. Okay? So what that means is the solutions are to the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 8. The solutions could be x equals 11 or x equals negative 5. A little bit different here, a little bit interesting. Okay? Now, another type of absolute value equation that we're going to look at is a little bit more complex. Here, we have 3 times 2x minus 7, absolute value of 2x minus 7, minus 5 equals 4. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to, it's a little bit different. Normally, if you had parentheses, you would take care of the parentheses right away by using the distributive property. But when we do absolute value, we're going to first solve this by adding 5 to both sides of our equation here, okay? And what we're now left with is 3 absolute value of 2x minus 7. Okay, we've gotten rid of this 5, okay, equals 9. Okay, sweet. Now what we're going to do, since it is the absolute value here, we are going to actually divide. We're going to divide by both sides to get rid of it so that we're left with just absolute value of 2x minus 7. So I divide 3 by 3, that gives us 1, kind of cancels each other out. 9 divided by 3 gives us 3. So what we're left with is absolute value of 2x minus 7. Oops, forgot my minus sign. Minus 7 equals 3. And hey, that looks pretty familiar to the problem that we have up here. So in the same way that we solved the problem up in the first example, we're going to write this in two different solutions, because the absolute value is how many steps away from 0 a number is. Okay, so I would write this as 2x minus 7 equals 3. And I would do the same thing. I would write 2x minus 7 equals negative 3. Okay? And now you have a pretty simple equation that you could solve. So here I would add, sorry, I start scribbling. Here I could add 7 to both sides so that I cancel each other out. Okay, that cancels out and I'm left with 10. So then I have 2x equals 10. We divide that out and I'm left with x equals 5. Wonderful. Okay, now that's just one of my solutions. Okay, forgot my equal. Now over here, I'm going to add 7 to both sides, but when I add 7 to negative 3, what I get is 4. So now I have 2x equals 4, and I'm going to divide that out, and I'm left with x equals 2. So in my second example, I have, again, two answers, x equals 5 or x equals negative 2 to solve this. Okay, so my solutions are x equals 5 and 2. How about that? Now, what I would like you to do is I would like you to solve some of these equations with absolute value. Work hard, ask questions, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.